So I'm going to show you how to do a gradient really easily when you're doing hatching or cross hatching or anything for that matter. We're going to start by filling all 4 squares with the same distance of diagonal lines. I already did it once, but my camera cut off. So as you can see, I'm just sliding the ruler diagonally across the squares, and as we start getting into the next square, I'm trying to keep the spacing about the same distance as I did in the first square all the way through. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not science or mathematical. We're just trying to get about the same distance. And so when you get to the end, I'll show you that what you're going to do is, I'm trying to do this quickly, so it's not as good as it would be if I was doing it for my own personal. You're going to start in the second square, and you're going to fill in between each space, 2 lines. Every 2 lines you're going to put a line in between, and you're going to continue to do that into the third and fourth square, putting a line in between. Alright, and that goes for the third pass. You're going to start in the third square and fill the third and fourth squares. Okay, so it's going to get tighter and tighter as you go because you have less and less space to fill, which gives you the darker value. And it's okay if your lines overlap a little bit. You're just trying to add a line every so often in between each one. So then when you get to the fourth square, you have the same thing, but imagine that when you're trying to fill that for the last gradient, it's going to be super tight and not very much room at all for extra lines. So I'll show you how I do that really quickly. So there's not a whole lot of room. I'm just going to add extra lines in here throughout, and noticing that I'm really just overlapping other lines, just darkening up this last square to give me the darkest value in my 4 squares. And when you're making gradients like this, you can do a 5 square gradient or 6, it's up to you how, well, it's up to your instructor and yourself when you're doing it for your own personal. So there you have it. You can see how the gradient goes from lightest to darkest just by doing it in that simple manner. The same thing goes when you're doing stippling. You're going to stipple in the same, the same type of pattern all the way across all 4 squares. And remember, I've talked with you guys about using a pencil that doesn't have a lot of hardness to it, that's a little bit softer pencil when you're doing stippling, because it will fill the space much more easily. And try not to get comets, as I call them, by flicking your pencil. Okay, so you have all 4 squares, and the same thing, you're going to start in the second square and adding more dots, and then you're going to do the third square and the fourth square. Hope you get the idea.